Welcome back to Sci-Fi Book Trek. Today we'll be dealing with The Patchwork Girl by Larry Niven.
This, of course, is the fourth in 5 Gil Hamilton stories that Niven wrote throughout his life. Now, this is the only one which has ever got a standalone version. 3 of them were grouped together as a small collection. That was later in 1994 grouped together with Patchwork Girl and the other unreleased story as well, which was shorter. So this is by far the longest Gil Hamilton story. This book was, of course, published in 1980, and this version itself is actually illustrated. So that's interesting. As opposed to most books don't really get illustrations unless they're children's books, and this, I would say, definitely isn't. Let's get it on.
No.
But anyway, let's go on to the author section.
The author, Lawrence Van Cott Niven, is an American science fiction writer born in 1938 in Los Angeles, California. He attended California Institute of Technology, but ultimately would graduate from Washburn University in Topeka, Kansas, where he read mathematics. He started his writing career in 1964 with a story called The Coldest Place.
And of course he later went on to win the Hugo and Nebula Awards for different books.
Including the Ringworld novel.
Yes.
Niven wrote many of his stories for science fiction magazines, which was the typical thing at the time.
Which was the style at the time.
But as you've pointed out, this one was the longest of the Gil Hamilton series, worthy of being called a novel on its own merit. Published in 1980, and that brings us on to our publication year, I believe.
Yes. Now, we've previously done this year, and my first...
Let's go round again.
Let's go round again. Maybe we'll turn back the hand of time.
Yes, lovely.
Great.
And my first fact is, in this year in England, the second book in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy came out, which was, of course, a restaurant at the end of the universe, which we've done a review for, so please go have a look. But finish watching this first.
So, in this year, Janus, the moon of Saturn, is first discovered by the Voyager 1 probe.
Nice.
You'll notice I've called it Janus and not Janus. I have no idea what the actual pronunciation is.
Yes, pronunciation is...
Nope.
In this year, another British link. Yes, Minister was first broadcast.
Can't stop us eating the British sausage, can they?
They can stop us calling it the sausage, though. Apparently it's got to be called the emulsified high-fat offal tube.
Excellent piece of political satire.
Yep. Now, if you don't know what Yes Minister is, look it up and go watch the programme. If you think it's too dated, go watch the thick of it.
Grace is here, hello. Isn't she good with the people?
Yeah, she is. But then so's Kate Thornton, and she's wanted for war crimes.
Same thing.
No, Yes Minister is not...
Oh,
it's not dated. You will
No,
watch
no,
it
no,
and go, hey, same problems, different time period.
But if you want more swearing, watch the thick of it.
The introduction of the Post-it note.
Yes.
And I know an interesting...
In America, yeah.
Yeah, interesting story about that one. The biggest issue that they could find with making the Post-it note was the glue. Finding something that would stick just enough, but not leave any sort of residue or, like, not stick so permanently that you couldn't remove it. And that was a major engineering problem for the creators.
Also, on a cultural note, films that came out this year.
I bet you've got the same one as me for the first one.
Well, the first one's the obvious one to pick because I thought, I know he's going to pick it, but it's just obvious. First one is The Shining. First one is The Shining.
Here's Johnny.
My next one would be Flash Gordon. Brilliant film.
Yep. I'm just thinking of all the references I can use for that when I'm editing.
If you don't have Brian Blessed, I'm going to be angry.
Oh yeah.
Gordon's alive.
Private Benjamin, Goldie Hawn.
Yes, Goldhorn. Yeah. 100% sure I've seen it. Couldn't tell you a thing about it.
See, I did join the army, but I joined a different army. I joined the one with the condos and the private rooms.
It's a little less intense than Full Metal Jacket. What Heart of Darkness.
Only a little less intense.
Wait a minute. I don't want to have to go to your boss or anything, okay? Look, to be truthful with you, I can't sleep in a room with 20 strangers.
Oh, dear.
My last one, there's number ones, but I thought I'll go with this one just because it's sort of sci-fi related. The Final Countdown. It's about a US aircraft carrier that's like in the 80s, and it slips back in time to the 40s, just before Pearl Harbor is attacked.
Okay.
And they have the technology and weapons to completely decimate the Japanese forces. But it's like, should they? Because that would change history completely.
Those men have enough knowledge among them to build the atom bomb. Reach the moon years before it should have happened.
Is that a terrifying prospect, Captain? Or a tempting one?
That actually sounds quite an interesting premise.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say it fully pays off, but like, it's interesting. He's fairly logical. And as long as you can buy, they just went into a cloud and came out in 40 years before.
I mean,
you've
not watched the latest Indiana Jones, have you?
No. Oh well. Anyway, did you have a last movie?
Smokey and the Bandit 2.
Universal Pictures presents Burt Reynolds, Jerry Reed, Sally Field, Dom DeLuise, Jackie Gleason, Jackie Gleason, Jackie Gleason.
Sure.
Love a bit of Burt.
Story of my life. I can turn them on, but I can't turn them off.
Right then. I think that ends it there. And we'll go on to
the review itself,
yes.
Inside the book.
Yep. Right, the book itself.
Would you agree science fiction detective story?
Yes. I mean, it's sort of a locked room, mystery, essentially. But set on the moon in like a sci-fi setting.
With political intrigue, I would say, also thrown in. I gotta admit, Niven does tell a really, really engaging story, and he wants you to sort of find out more bits about the universe, which this is a part of the...
I mean, it does feel like a completely fleshed out universe, and like with their own sort of government and rules and structure, like social structures and everything. Our main character, Gil Hamilton, is sort of a police officer detective, but he's hired by sort of the UN to become part of their delegation to go to the moon to try and negotiate new laws to govern the moon, because the Belters want different laws and the people from Earth want different laws to govern the moon, and so they've got to negotiate sort of thing.
Mm.
Everybody got that?
The moon is a colony of mankind, supposedly under Earth-type laws.
Yeah.
But you've got the colonists out in the asteroid belt who operate under a different series of laws, being far enough away from Earth to essentially be independent.
And they're slightly more liberal than people of Earth.
Yeah.
They have to send their criminals to the moon to be prosecuted. Yeah. Processed, let's say.
Everybody got that?
And so they don't want too stricter laws on the moon, and the Earth people want Earth laws on the moon. So that's where the clash comes, and they have to negotiate a peace. So that's the initial setup.
And of course, the lunar colonists want to self-govern themselves as well.
Yes.
Which is another point of contention. And that's just the political intrigue stuff.
Yes. There's also a lot of, I don't want to say sexual politics, but in a way, but like not as what we might see today. It's more about marriage, marriages and having children, whether you can or can't and stuff like that.
Yeah, there are elements of population control, and that actually does come up in the story as well. It's a very different universe. It's not quite gotten to the level of Starship Troopers accepted fascism.
No.
But there's some very questionable ideas.
Yeah.
But it's handled in a mature way, I think.
I mean, it did give me some sort of reminders of sort of like The Expanse.
You guys look like shit.
Just because you've got belters, you've got Earthlings, which are called Flatlanders, and instead you don't have people on Mars, but you have people on the moon, which are
loonies.
Loonies, which I did find comical every time I read it. But yeah, so you've got these three factions, and they all have their own culture.
Yeah.
And like this represents in like their own sort of space suits as well, but also their like anatomy. So like people on the moon are taller.
Yeah.
Than mostly everyone.
I think he described it as sort of Tolkien elf likes because of the lower gravity.
Because they're rather thin and tall. Yeah.
The science concepts as well, I was quite impressed with.
I did like all the sort of low gravity stuff that like taking account for the lunar gravity. That was very interesting.
But the
slightly different, yeah.
But the other thing that struck me as well is that at least for me, you'd not think that this was book 4 in a 5-part series, or even a smaller set of books within a larger series.
This is fairly standalone.
Yeah. It's well written enough to be able to introduce you to the concepts that are part of the wider world.
I mean, I didn't know it was part of a collection until about halfway through, and I remembered the name, and I was like, oh, wait a second, I've got a short story collection with
Gil Hamilton.
Gil Hamilton's name on it.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's this? And that was the first trigger. I was like, oh, odd.
I mean, the character of Hamilton as well, he's an interesting bloke.
I mean, I don't know, I'd say kind of stereotypical, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. I would say it's stereotype film noir to a degree where it almost becomes cliche. I mean, right down to the damsel in distress who she had to walk into my office.
Yeah.
Of all the offices in all the world, she had to walk into mine.
To be fair, he's done fairly well here, as opposed to I have seen it done very poorly and very on the nose.
With your permission, sir?
Permission granted.
That's the thing. It doesn't come off as cheese.
No. And like, there's a lot of other things go on. I would also mention that back on sort of like the sexual politics, there is a lot of sort of sex in this book.
Matron, please, I'm not that kind of doctor.
I wouldn't say, like...
It's not graphic.
No, I wouldn't say it's graphic. I wouldn't say it's, like, exploitation. I wouldn't say... And overall, I would say this book is horny. More than any other word.
One of the things that made me laugh out loud while I was reading this is where he carries one of the young maidens to the bed and throws her onto the bed, and she immediately bounces off. It's like that just made me giggle more so than I really should have. But I'm just a child when it comes to. How did you find the detective story elements? Without obviously giving too much away.
I felt it was fairly well done. Sometimes it takes too much of a backseat, and sometimes it feels like it's quickly gone through while it shouldn't be. That's all I'll say. But, you know, on the whole, it was fine.
I thought it was well developed. They got some good breadcrumb setup.
Oh yeah, there are some very good key moments in it and good setups in it.
Yeah, and some good twists.
Yeah.
And a pretty satisfying ending, all told. At least for me. That's...
Okay. I wasn't as happy with the ending. But I think that's... Well, we'll go over that in spoilers. But right, I think we'll end it there. We'll go to
recommendations.
Yeah. So I do recommend this book. It's a very good, fun, sort of detective romp, like sci-fi setting. It does have some, you know, crunchy sci-fi ideas, and, you know, the world building is, I mean, frankly, for how small it is, amazing. So I do like it on all those aspects. Occasionally you might think it's trying to do too much, but it mostly pulls off everything it tries. So
it mostly pulls off everything.
So we're just done with phrasing, right? That's not a thing anymore?
Yes, I do recommend it. I found it a very enjoyable read start to finish. As you said, there's enough world building in there that you don't get lost. The detective story is engaging. Twists and turns and nice conclusion. I wouldn't say it's a heavy, wouldn't say it's a heavy recommendation, but it's a pleasant story, and if I was given the other stories of Gil Hamilton to sit and read through, I think I would probably find it a very enjoyable afternoon, as was this one. And with that in mind, guys, if you are looking to pick up a copy of this, you're unlikely to pick up the novels nowadays, because they have been out of print for a while, but the collections are still available.
Well, I mean, there's only this one in novel form. The other collections have, well, gone out with the new collection coming in, which has all 5 stories in.
That was the 94 collection.
Yes, that is the main way to read it now. I mean, however, I would recommend getting one of these copies if you can, which is illustrated. But anyway, I think I'll leave it there.
Yep. So, join us again next week when we go on to our spoiler talk of The Patchwork Girl. Alternatively, if you're not interested in following up with that, join us in a couple of weeks and we'll be discussing another book.
Yep. All right. Bye.
Bye.
First one is The Shining. Okay, not.
Airplane?
I didn't pick that.
I'm surprised because
Oh, no, like-
love that film.
Yes. I love that film, but I've got so annoyed by watching reactions of it and then reading comments of people going, "This is a parody of 0 Hour." It's like, fucking, no, it's fucking not. You fucking mentally retarded arsehole. It's not. It can't be a parody because even people in 0 Hour watched Airplane and went, "Oh, this is funny to take a piss out of Airport." Because 0 Hour is a forgotten movie. You cannot take a parody out of a movie no one fucking remembers.
Here we go again.
Yeah, but anyway, that's why I didn't pick Airplane.
Okay, fair enough.
Because I've built up rage.